News of the approaching human warship spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the crystal palaces of the Velkari homeworld, Commander Rathuk received the intelligence report with great interest. A single human battleship was heading toward the Kepler 442 system to challenge Sub-Admiral Vexthul's fleet. "Perfect," Rathuk said, his scales brightening with excitement. "This is exactly what we need." The other Velkari officers in the war room looked confused. Why was their commander happy about a human attack? "Don't you see?" Rathuk explained, pointing at the star map. "The humans are giving us a gift. They're sending their most advanced warship directly to us. We can destroy it publicly, in front of the entire galaxy. This will prove once and for all that humans are no threat to the Confederation." Within hours, messages were flying between the capitals of every major alien species. The Galactic War Council was convening an emergency session, but this time they would meet in space, watching the battle happen in real time. Queen Voice Klexra of the Zithran was the first to respond. "The hive mind wishes to participate in this demonstration. We will send a swarm to assist in the human ship's destruction." Admiral Glubros of the Murthak also offered his support. "My bioships are hungry. They will enjoy eating human metal and flesh." Commander Rathuk was delighted by the support. This was his chance to show the galaxy that the Velkari were still the dominant military power. He began organizing the largest trap in galactic history. Sub-Admiral Vexthul was already in the Kepler 442 system with 5 ships, but that wouldn't be enough for the show Rathuk wanted to put on. Reinforcements began arriving daily: Velkari cruisers with massive plasma cannons, Zithran swarm carriers full of small attack craft, and Murthak bio-vessels that looked like living monsters. The alien fleet grew to 37 ships, representing the combined military might of 3 major galactic powers. They positioned themselves throughout the asteroid belt that surrounded the system's 4th planet, creating overlapping fields of fire that would catch the human ship no matter which direction it approached from. "The humans will drop out of hyperspace here," Vexthul explained, pointing to a holographic display. "Our sensors show this is the most logical entry point. We'll be waiting for them with enough firepower to destroy 100 ships." The trap was perfect from every angle. Long-range sensors would detect the human ship the moment it arrived. Energy weapons were pre-targeted on the entry point. Swarm fighters were ready to launch if somehow the human vessel survived the first barrage. But the aliens weren't just preparing for battle, they were preparing for a show. Representatives from every species in the Confederation had come to watch the destruction of human ambition. News broadcasts would carry the battle live to billions of viewers across the galaxy. On the Zithran swarm carrier, Queen Voice Klexra communicated with her hive mind. Thousands of insectoid pilots sat in their small fighters, their golden eyes focused on instrument panels. Each pilot was connected to every other pilot, creating a group mind that could react faster than any individual could think. "The human ship will be fast," Klexra told her pilots through their mental link, "but it cannot be faster than thought itself. When it appears, you will surround it like angry insects around a threat to the hive." Admiral Glubros floated in his command tank aboard the bioship Devourer. Around him, the living walls pulsed with alien heartbeats. This ship was not built. It was grown from modified sea creatures that had been changed to survive in space. Its weapons were organic, its armor could heal itself, and its hunger for battle was real. "My children are ready," Glubros gurgled to his fellow commanders. "The Devourer wants to taste human fear." The alien leaders were so confident in their trap that they began making bets on how long the human ship would survive. Some guessed 30 seconds. Others thought it might last a full minute if the humans were very lucky. Commander Rathuk had arrived in his personal flagship, the Conquest, to oversee the battle personally. From his command throne, he could see the entire asteroid field where his ships waited. Every weapon was charged. Every crew was ready. Every plan was perfect. "This will be remembered as the day humanity learned its place," he announced to the watching galaxy. "Let no species forget what happens to those who challenge their betters." Deep in the Kepler 442 system, something was watching the aliens prepare their trap. Hidden among the asteroids, a tiny human probe had been recording everything for weeks. It had been launched secretly months earlier to study the system, and now it was gathering intelligence that would prove very valuable. The probe's data was already being transmitted back to the approaching Busan Defiant. Captain Oh Hyun-sik and his crew knew exactly where every alien ship was positioned. They understood the trap completely, but instead of avoiding it, they were flying straight into it. On the bridge of the Busan Defiant, communications officer Lee Soo-jin monitored the alien broadcasts. Her husband had died on the Soul's Pride, and she wanted to hear every word the aliens said about human weakness. "They're very confident, Captain," she reported. "Commander Rathuk is telling the galaxy that this will be an easy victory." Captain O smiled grimly. He was a student of military history, particularly the great battles where smaller forces had defeated larger ones. Sun Tzu, Alexander the Great, Admiral Yi Sun-sin, all of them had won impossible victories by using tactics their enemies didn't expect. "Let them be confident," O said quietly. "Confident enemies make mistakes." Weapons Officer Nam Kyuri was running final checks on the ship's unique armament. The Busan Defiant didn't carry the energy weapons that other spacefaring species used. Instead, it had something the aliens had dismissed as primitive: kinetic launchers that could fire solid projectiles at incredible speeds. "All systems ready, Captain," she reported. "The aliens won't know what hit them." Engineering Chief An Jaemin worked frantically in the ship's engine room, making last-minute adjustments to the hybrid human-alien power systems. He knew the ship would take massive damage in the coming battle. His job was to keep it fighting as long as possible. "Power levels at maximum," he reported over the intercom. "We're ready to show these aliens what human engineering can do." The Busan Defiant was still hours away from the Kepler 442 system, but both sides were already prepared for battle. The aliens waited with overwhelming superiority in numbers and technology. The humans approached with determination and desperation. In just a few hours, the galaxy would witness something unprecedented. A single ship would challenge an entire fleet. David would face Goliath among the stars. The outcome seemed certain to everyone watching. Everyone except the humans who were about to rewrite the rules of galactic warfare. The great crystal hall of Veltar Moon sparkled with lights from a dozen different worlds. Ships from across the galaxy had gathered here for the most important meeting of the year. The Galactic War Council brought together the strongest military leaders from every corner of space. Commander Rathuk stepped forward first. His green scales caught the light as he moved to the center of the room. The Velkari warrior was tall and proud, with sharp teeth that showed when he smiled. Behind him, a giant screen lit up with images of burning planets and destroyed cities. "The Velkari Empire has taken 17 new star systems this year," Rathuk announced. His voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. "Our plasma cannons can melt through any defense. Our ships are faster than lightning. No enemy can stand against us." The other aliens in the room made sounds of respect. Some clapped their hands, others clicked their claws, and a few made buzzing noises with their wings. The Velkari had always been known as great fighters. Next came Queen Voice Klexra of the Zithron. She looked like a giant bug with 4 arms and golden eyes that never blinked. When she spoke, her voice sounded like many voices talking at once. This was because she was connected to millions of other Zithron through their hive mind. "We conquered the Dorian colonies in just 3 days, Klexra said. "Our swarm ships moved like a cloud of death. 10,000 small fighters attacked from every direction. The Dorians could not shoot us all down. They surrendered before we even landed on their planets." More sounds of approval filled the hall. The Zithron swarm tactics were famous throughout the galaxy. No one had ever found a good way to fight against so many small, fast ships attacking at once. Admiral Glubros rolled forward on his water-filled tank. The Murthak looked like a giant blue octopus with silver stripes. His 8 arms moved in the water as he spoke through a voice box attached to his tank. "The Murthak have created new war beasts," Glubros gurgled. "Living ships that can heal themselves in battle. Bioweapons that eat enemy hulls from the inside. Sea creatures that can fight in space or underwater. We are masters of life itself." Holographic images showed massive creatures swimming through space, their bodies covered in weapons and armor that looked like it was alive. Some had tentacles longer than battleships. Others had teeth that could bite through metal. The meeting went on for hours. Each species told stories of their victories. The rock-like granite showed videos of their planet-killer weapons. The energy beings called the Flux talked about how they could turn enemy computers against their owners. The plant people of Verde explained their poison gases that could kill any breathing creature. All the aliens were very proud of their military power. They had spent thousands of years perfecting their weapons and tactics. Each species believed they were the best fighters in the galaxy. Then someone mentioned the humans. The room became quiet for a moment. Then slowly laughter began to spread. It started as small chuckles but grew louder and louder until the entire hall was filled with the sound of aliens laughing. "The Terrans?" Rathok said, wiping tears from his eyes. "You mean those soft pink creatures from that little blue world?" "They barely have space travel," added Klexra. "Their ships use chemical rockets like children's toys." "I heard they still fight with metal bullets," laughed Admiral Glubros. "How primitive can you get?" The laughter continued as the aliens shared what they knew about humans. They had only made contact with Earth a few months ago. The first meeting had been peaceful, but the aliens had not been impressed by what they saw. Human technology seemed thousands of years behind the rest of the galaxy. Their fastest ships could barely reach other planets in their own solar system. They had no energy shields, no plasma weapons, and no faster-than-light communication. Most shocking of all, they still fought wars against each other on their home planet. "They call themselves warriors," snorted a granite delegate, "but they fight with sticks and stones compared to us." "I saw one of their ships," said a Flux representative. "It was made of simple metal and powered by controlled explosions. My child could build something better." Commander Rathok stood up again, his scales now dark with amusement. "The humans are nothing to worry about. They are a young, weak species that just learned to leave their home world. Give them a few thousand years and maybe they will be worth talking to." "But not as equals," added Queen Voice Klexra. "They will always be junior members of the galaxy. Small and unimportant," Admiral Glubros agreed. "The humans have no understanding of real warfare. They think fighting other humans makes them tough. They have never faced a real enemy from space." The meeting began to wind down. The aliens had shared their victories and made their plans for the coming year. They would continue to expand their empires, taking new worlds and resources. The galaxy was big, but they were making it smaller every day. As the delegates prepared to leave, Rathok made one final announcement. "If any human ship enters Velkari space without permission, we will destroy it. This is our gift to the galaxy. We will show these primitives their place." The other aliens agreed. If humans wanted to join the galactic community, they would have to prove themselves worthy. But everyone in the room believed that would never happen. Humans were too weak, too primitive, and too divided to ever be a real threat. The great crystal hall emptied as the alien ships departed for their home worlds. The War Council was over for another year. The aliens flew away confident in their power and secure in their belief that they were the masters of war. None of them could imagine that in just a few short months, everything would change. None of them suspected that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The humans were about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. 3 months had passed since the War Council meeting. Captain Lee Tejo stood on the bridge of his ship, the Soul's Pride, looking out at the stars. The small human vessel was on a peaceful exploration mission in the Kepler 442 system, far from Earth. Lee had been a naval officer back on Earth before joining the space program. He was a quiet man with steady hands and calm eyes. His crew trusted him completely. They were all volunteers who had left their families behind to explore the galaxy and make contact with alien species. "Captain," called Lieutenant Commander Park Min-seo from her science station, "I'm picking up something big on the sensors." Lee walked over to look at her screen. Park was the smartest person on the ship, a scientist who could make their old computers do amazing things. She had short black hair and always wore her uniform perfectly pressed. "What do you see?" Lee asked. "Multiple contacts, sir. Very large. They're coming our way fast." The main screen lit up with the image of 5 alien ships approaching them. The vessels were huge, at least 3 times bigger than the Soul's Pride. Their hulls were dark green with sharp edges that looked like weapons themselves. Energy crackled around their surfaces like lightning. "Velkari ships," Park said quietly. "I'm reading massive power signatures." "Those are military vessels, Captain." Lee felt his stomach tighten. He had read the reports from the first contact meetings. The Velkari were one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy. They respected only strength and saw diplomacy as weakness. "Open a channel," Lee ordered. "Let's try to talk to them." Communications Officer Yoon Dalsu worked his controls. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Lee Tejo of the Earth vessel Soul's Pride," Lee said calmly. "We are on a peaceful scientific mission. We request safe passage through this system." The response came immediately. A deep, harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken English. Human ship, you will surrender immediately. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction. Lee looked around at his crew. They were all young people, scientists and explorers, not soldiers. But they had known this day might come. Earth had warned all exploration ships that contact with hostile aliens was possible. This is Sub-Admiral Vexthul of the Velkari fleet, the voice continued. Your species has been judged primitive and unworthy. You will submit to superior beings or die. Sir, Park whispered. Their weapons are charging. Energy readings are off the charts. Lee made his decision. Dalsu, broadcast this message on all human frequencies. Make sure Earth receives it. Yes, sir. Lee took a deep breath. To all human vessels and Earth Command. This is Captain Lee Teho. We are under attack by hostile alien forces in the Kepler 442 system. The enemy possesses superior firepower and technology. They have demanded our surrender and threatened destruction. He paused, looking at his crew. They were scared, but they stood ready to follow his orders. The soul's pride will not surrender, Lee continued. We will gather intelligence on enemy capabilities and transmit all data to Earth. Tell our families we died free humans, not slaves. Sub-Admiral Vexthul's laughter filled the bridge. Brave words from dead creatures. You cannot escape. You cannot fight. You can only choose how you die. The Velkari ships moved into attack formation. Lee watched their movements carefully, noting their speed and tactics. Park worked frantically at her station, recording everything about the alien vessels, their weapons, shields and power systems, Captain, Park said urgently. I'm detecting some kind of weakness in their shield harmonics. If we could somehow upload everything to the message probe, Lee ordered. Every bit of data we've collected. Dalsu's fingers flew over his controls. Data uploaded, sir. Message probe is ready to launch. Do it. A small probe shot out from the Soul's Pride, accelerating quickly toward the edge of the system. Its mission was simple. Carry the battle data back to Earth no matter what happened to the ship. Foolish humans, Vexthul snarled. Did you think we would not see your primitive messenger? We will destroy it after we finish with you. One of the Velkari ships turned to chase the probe, but Lee was ready for that. All power to engines, he ordered. Ramming speed, his crew stared at him in shock. Sir? Park asked. We can't win a fight, Lee explained calmly. But we can make sure they remember us. And maybe, just maybe, we can damage them enough to give the probe time to escape. The Soul's Pride shot forward at full speed, heading straight for the Velkari flagship. The alien ship was massive, bristling with weapons, but Lee aimed for what looked like a weak point near the engines. All hands brace for impact, he announced over the ship's speakers. It has been an honor serving with you all. Vexthul's voice turned angry. You dare attack us? Destroy them now! The Velkari ships opened fire. Plasma beams and energy bolts slammed into the Soul's Pride from all directions. The human ship's simple metal hull began to glow and melt under the intense heat. Systems failed throughout the ship as the ancient human vessel was torn apart by weapons beyond its understanding. But Lee had timed his attack perfectly. Even as his ship was dying around him, the Soul's Pride smashed into the Velkari flagship. The impact wasn't enough to destroy the alien vessel, but it punched a hole through their shields and damaged their hull. For the first time in centuries, a Velkari ship had been damaged by an enemy. Impossible, Vexthul roared. How dare these primitives touch us? The Soul's Pride broke apart in space, its crew scattered to the vacuum. But their sacrifice had meaning. The message probe had escaped while the Velkari ships were distracted by the ramming attack. It carried detailed information about alien weapons and tactics back toward Earth. Sub-Admiral Vexthul stared at the wreckage of the human ship. He had expected an easy victory over primitive creatures. Instead, he had been forced to use his entire fleet to destroy one small exploration vessel. Worse, that vessel had actually managed to damage his flagship. The other Velkari ships gathered around their admiral's vessel, examining the damage. It was not serious, but it was there, a mark left by human determination and sacrifice. Sir, one of his officers reported, the other galactic powers are asking for details about the engagement. Vexthul's scales darkened with embarrassment. How could he explain that he had needed 5 warships to destroy one primitive human scout? How could he admit that the humans had refused to surrender, choosing death over submission? Word of the battle spread quickly through alien communication networks. The story changed with each telling, but the basic facts remained the same. The humans had fought to the death rather than give up. They had damaged a Velkari ship in the process. Some aliens laughed at Vexthol's embarrassment. Others began to wonder if they had underestimated the humans. A few started to worry about what the humans might do next. Back on Earth, the message probe arrived 3 weeks later. Its data would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. The aliens had shown their true nature, and humanity would respond in kind. Captain Lee Tae-ho and his crew were dead, but their sacrifice would be remembered. The Soul's pride was gone, but it had lit a fire that would spread across the stars. Fleet Admiral Kim Dong-hyun sat in the dark war room deep beneath Seoul, watching the final message from the Soul's pride for the 100th time. The recording showed Captain Lee's calm face as he reported the attack, followed by static as the ship was destroyed. Each time Kim watched it, he felt his anger grow stronger. Around the table sat the most important leaders of Earth's government and military. The president of the United Earth Council was there, along with generals, admirals, and scientists. All of them had been called to this emergency meeting after the message probe arrived. "Show them the tactical analysis," Kim ordered. Dr. Choi Ha-na stood up and activated the room's main display. She was Earth's leading expert on alien technology, a brilliant woman who had spent her life studying the few alien artifacts humans had found. Her face was tired but determined. "The data from Captain Lee's ship gives us our first real look at alien military technology," she began. "The Velkari ships are more advanced than anything we have. Their plasma weapons can destroy our strongest armor in seconds. Their shields can stop any weapon we currently possess." She changed the display to show technical readouts. However, the data also reveals some interesting information. The aliens have become overconfident. They expect their enemies to use the same kinds of technology they do. They're not prepared for different approaches to warfare. General Park Won-ho, head of Earth's army, leaned forward. "What kind of different approaches?" "The kind humans have always used when facing superior enemies," Dr. Choi replied. "Surprise, speed, and attacking where the enemy doesn't expect it." Admiral Kim activated another screen showing Earth's current military capabilities. It was not an impressive list compared to what the aliens possessed. "We can't match their technology," Kim said quietly. "We can't build energy shields or plasma cannons. We don't have their speed or their numbers, but we have something they don't understand." "What's that?" asked the president. "We know how to lose and keep fighting. We know how to adapt when everything goes wrong. Most importantly, we know how to win when winning should be impossible." Commander Yoon Ji-woo spoke up from her seat at the end of the table. She was the chief engineer of Earth's most advanced warship project, a woman whose hands were always dirty from working on engines and weapons. "The experimental ship is almost ready," she reported. "We've taken everything we learned from the alien artifacts and combined it with human engineering. It's not as advanced as their ships, but it's different. They won't know how to fight it." The ship she was talking about was the Busan Defiant, humanity's first true warship designed for fighting aliens. It had taken years to build and represented everything humans had learned about space warfare. "The question is," Kim continued, "what do we do with it? We could hide and hope the aliens leave us alone. We could try to negotiate from a position of weakness. Or we could send a message that humanity will not be bullied." Dr. Choi brought up another display showing the location where the Soul's pride had been destroyed. "Intelligence reports suggest the Velkari fleet is still in that system. Sub-Admiral Vexthal has been bragging about his victory over human primitives." "Let him brag," said General Park. "It will make the surprise even better." The president looked around the room. "You're talking about sending one ship against an entire alien fleet. That's suicide." "Maybe," admitted Admiral Kim. "But Captain Lee and his crew showed us something important. They refused to surrender. They fought back even when they had no chance of winning. Their death meant something because they didn't go quietly." He stood up and walked to the window looking out at the city above. "The aliens think we're weak because we're new to space. They think our simple weapons and basic technology make us easy targets. They're about to learn they're wrong." Commander Yoon activated her personal data pad. "I've been working on the crew selection for the Busan Defiant. Every single volunteer has personal connections to the Soul's Pride crew. They want justice for their friends and family." The names on her list were impressive. Captain Oh Hyun-sik, a tactical genius who had studied every human military victory in history. Communications Officer Lee Soo-jin, whose husband had died on the Soul's Pride. Weapons Officer Nam Kyu-ri, the best marksman in the space fleet. engineering chief An Jae-min, who had helped design the ship's unique systems. These people aren't just going on a military mission, Yoon explained. They're going to prove that humans don't back down from fights, even impossible ones. Dr. Choi brought up the final piece of their plan. The Busan Defiant won't try to fight like an alien ship. Instead, it will use tactics the aliens have never seen before, weapons they don't understand, strategies that will confuse and frighten them. Admiral Kim returned to the table. The goal isn't just to win the battle. It's to show the galaxy that humanity is not some weak species to be pushed around. We want every alien in space to think twice before attacking human ships. General Park nodded slowly. It's a dangerous gamble. If the plan fails, we'll have shown our best weapons to the enemy and lost our most advanced ship. If we do nothing, Kim replied, the attacks will continue. More exploration ships will be destroyed. More humans will die. Eventually, they'll come to Earth itself. The president was quiet for a long moment. The decision would affect the entire human race. Starting a war with advanced aliens could mean the end of human civilization, but doing nothing might mean the same thing. What are the chances of success? The president finally asked. Kim and his team looked at each other. They had run countless simulations and studied every piece of data they possessed. Honestly, Kim said, very low. The Busan Defiant will be outnumbered and outgunned. The enemy has better technology and more experience. By every logical measure, the mission should fail. Then why do it? Because logic isn't everything, Dr. Choi answered. Humans have won impossible battles before by doing things that seemed crazy to their enemies. The aliens are logical. They plan for logical responses. They won't expect us to do something that appears to be suicide. Commander Yoon added. Besides, Captain Lee proved that human determination can damage alien ships. The Busan Defiant is much more powerful than the Soul's Pride. If we can get close enough. The president made the decision that would change human history. Do it. Send the message. Show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Admiral Kim activated his communication device. Within hours, the Busan Defiant would launch on its impossible mission. Captain Oh and his crew were already preparing their ship and saying goodbye to their families. The plan was simple in concept, but difficult in execution. One human warship would enter the Kepler 442 system and challenge the entire Valkyrie fleet. The crew knew they probably wouldn't survive, but they also knew their sacrifice would matter. Word of the mission spread through human space like wildfire. On every human world and space station, people gathered to watch the news reports. They knew their species was about to face its greatest test. The Busan Defiant launched exactly 72 hours after the meeting in Seoul. As it disappeared into hyperspace, Admiral Kim said a prayer for its crew. They were brave people flying into almost certain death to protect their species and prove human worth. The galaxy was about to learn that humans didn't fight the way other species expected. They were about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one with nothing left to lose. The space around Kepler 442 was filled with waiting alien ships. 37 vessels from 3 different species hung in perfect formation among the asteroids, their weapons charged and ready. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched through live broadcasts, expecting to see the final proof of human weakness. Then the Busan Defiant dropped out of hyperspace. The human warship appeared exactly where the aliens had predicted. But something was immediately wrong. Instead of trying to escape or begging for mercy, the ship began broadcasting on all frequencies. Captain Oh Hyun-sik's calm voice reached every alien vessel and every watching world. I am Captain Oh Hyun-sik of the Earth battleship Busan Defiant, he said clearly. We come in response to the murder of Captain Lee Tae-ho and his crew aboard the Soul's Pride. We are here to deliver justice. Commander Rathuk laughed from his flagship. Justice? You bring one primitive ship against our mighty fleet? You will die like the others. We are humans, Oh continued, ignoring the aliens' taunts. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. We adapt, we overcome, and we remember our fallen. Today you will learn what that means. The alien fleet began to move, surrounding the lone human ship like hunters closing in on prey. Sub-Admiral Vexthul, still embarrassed by his earlier encounter with humans, was eager to redeem himself. All ships attack formation, Vexthul ordered, but do not destroy them quickly. Let the galaxy see them beg before they die. The first alien ship to fire was a Valkyrie cruiser. Its plasma cannon sent a brilliant beam of energy toward the Busan Defiant. The watching galaxy expected to see the human ship vaporized instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The Busan Defiant wasn't there anymore. The ship had moved in a way that none of the aliens had ever seen before. A complex spiral that seemed to follow no logical pattern. The plasma beam missed completely, striking an asteroid and turning it into glowing dust. "What was that?" demanded Queen Voice Klexra. "How did they move so fast?" On the bridge of the Busan Defiant, Weapons Officer Nam Curie was executing Evasion Pattern Delta 7, a maneuver inspired by traditional Korean dance movements. The ship twisted and spun through space in patterns that looked random but were actually precisely calculated. "Their targeting computers can't track us," she reported to Captain O. "They're programmed to predict logical flight paths. We're not flying logically." More alien ships opened fire. Plasma beams, energy bolts, and bioweapons filled the space around the human vessel. But the Busan Defiant danced between the attacks like a leaf in the wind, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. Commander Rathuk was becoming angry. "Stop playing with them. All ships concentrate fire." The entire alien fleet fired at once. The combined energy of 37 advanced warships lit up the asteroid field like a small sun. Surely nothing could survive that much firepower. But when the light faded, the Busan Defiant was still there. The ship's hull was glowing from near misses, and some systems were damaged, but it was intact and still moving. Captain O activated his ship's unique weapon system. "Deploy kinetic packages," he ordered. Nam Curie pressed the launch button. From all around the Busan Defiant, small objects shot out in every direction. They looked like escape pods or supply containers, nothing that seemed dangerous. The aliens watched in confusion as dozens of these objects spread throughout the battle area. Some of the alien ships actually moved to intercept them, thinking the humans were abandoning ship. "Are they surrendering?" wondered Admiral Glubros. "Wait," said Rathuk, his scales darkening with suspicion. "Something's wrong." He was right to be suspicious. The objects weren't escape pods. They were kinetic kill vehicles. Each one was a simple metal projectile, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed by human, magnetic rail technology powered by captured alien energy cores. The weapons were so primitive that the sophisticated alien point defense systems didn't recognize them as threats. The computers were programmed to stop energy weapons and smart missiles, not chunks of metal flying very fast. The first kinetic projectile struck a Murthak bioship called the Hunger. The living vessel's organic hull, designed to heal from energy weapon damage, couldn't cope with a solid object punching through it at enormous speed. The projectile went completely through the ship, leaving a hole that bled fluids into space. Admiral Glubros screamed in pain as he felt his ship's agony. "Impossible. How can simple metal hurt my children?" More kinetic projectiles found their targets. A Zithron swarm carrier took 3 hits and broke apart, spilling hundreds of fighter craft into space. 2 Velkari cruisers were holed and began venting atmosphere. The aliens' advanced armor, designed to absorb energy and deflect explosions, was useless against solid objects moving at incredible speeds. "It's just metal," Bexthal shouted. "How can metal defeat us?" Captain O smiled grimly as he watched alien ships dying around him. "Because sometimes the oldest weapons are the most effective ones." The alien fleet was in chaos. Ships that had never been seriously damaged in battle were suddenly crippled or destroyed by weapons their computers couldn't understand. Crews that had always felt superior to their enemies were learning what it meant to face something completely unexpected. Queen Voice Klexra launched her swarm fighters, thousands of small ships that attacked like angry insects, but even they couldn't catch the dancing human battleship. The Busan Defiant spun and twisted through their formations, its point defense system shooting down fighters with simple bullets while continuing to launch kinetic projectiles at the larger ship's engineering. Chief Anjamin worked desperately to keep the ship's systems running as alien weapons finally began to find their target. The hybrid human-alien power cores were overloading, and hull breaches were appearing throughout the ship. "Captain," he called over the intercom, "I can keep the kinetic launchers running for maybe 10 more minutes. After that, we're dead in space." 10 minutes is enough," O replied. "Target the command ships." Nam Curie adjusted her aim toward the largest alien vessels. The kinetic projectiles were running out, but each one that remained would count for maximum damage. A massive kinetic round struck Commander Rathuk's flagship, the Conquest. The projectile punched through the ship's energy shields as if they weren't there, and tore a hole in the command section. Rathok himself was thrown from his throne as his mighty vessel shuddered under the impact. "This is impossible," he roared. "We are the masters of war. We have the best technology in the galaxy." But technology meant nothing when faced with human ingenuity and desperation. The Busan Defiant had turned the aliens' own arrogance against them. They had prepared for an enemy that would fight like they did, using similar weapons and tactics. Instead, they faced an enemy that threw out all the rules. As more alien ships were damaged or destroyed, something unprecedented happened. The remaining vessels began to retreat. Species that had conquered worlds and terrorized entire sectors were running from a single human battleship. Sub-Admiral Vex Thule was among the first to flee, his flagship trailing atmosphere from multiple kinetic impacts. Queen Voice Klexra pulled back her surviving swarm fighters, their hive mind confused by tactics they couldn't predict. Even Admiral Gluberos, grieving for his wounded bioships, ordered a withdrawal. Commander Rathok was the last to leave. His flagship was badly damaged, his fleet was scattered, and his reputation was destroyed. But as he retreated, he sent one final message to the watching galaxy. "This changes nothing," he snarled. "The humans got lucky once. Next time will be different." Captain O's response was broadcast across every inhabited world. "There won't be a next time if you leave human space alone. But if you attack our people again, we'll be ready. And next time, we won't be coming alone." The Battle of Kepler 442 was over. 17 alien ships had been destroyed or crippled by a single human vessel. The Busan Defiant was heavily damaged and 37 crew members were dead, but it had achieved the impossible. As the alien fleet limped away, Captain O looked around his battered bridge. Communications Officer Lee Soo-jin was bleeding from a head wound but still at her station. Weapons Officer Nam Kyu-ri was slumped over her controls, exhausted but victorious. Engineering Chief An Jaemin's voice came over the intercom, weak but proud. "Captain, we did it. We actually did it," O nodded slowly. "Send the battle records to Earth. Make sure everyone knows what happened here today." The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had announced its presence with violence and victory, proving that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one everyone underestimates.